Lesson 9.6, relationships of trig functions. And so this side of the reciprocal functions is all stuff you should be very familiar with. I just put it there for reference. Cofunction is what's going to be the new stuff we have to talk about today. Okay, so it's going to actually be multiple choice questions that say, name the reciprocal of this, or have one of these kind of identities and then pick which trig function it is. So we call the reciprocal functions like sine and cosecant, because cosecant is 1 over sine. That's a reciprocal when the fraction flips. So sine and cosecant, we have cosine and secant, and we have tangent and cotangent are all reciprocal functions. Now I want to talk about cofunctions. So a cofunction, think of the word co, goes with, but also it means another word. It means complementary. We should have learned that in geometry. Complementary means they make 90 degrees. And I'm going to just draw a triangle here at the bottom to show you what a cofunction means. So here's my 90. Because remember, trig can only be used in right triangles. And so let's call this angle theta. So this is like my reference angle if this were drawn in quadrant 1. If I know that all triangles have 180 degrees, and I know, get ahead of myself, and I know 90 of it's here, that leaves me 90 degrees between this angle here and this angle here. So here and here, those two acute angles. So that's what's known as complementary angles, is when they sum or add up to make 90. So I need to be able to label this other acute angle with something. I don't want to call it theta because I don't know that they're the same. But if I know these two combined make 90, then I can say that 90 minus whatever this angle is would make the other angle. Say this is 60, then 90 minus 60 would mean it's 30. Say this is 45, 90 minus 45 would leave me with 45. So hopefully that makes sense. Then I'm also going to label the sides of this triangle, little a, b, and c. Totally random, just making it easy. And then I want to come up with sine of angle theta. So remember, sine from angle theta, that would be this angle here. And we want the ratio of opposite to hypotenuse, which would be b over c. Okay, I also want to go ahead and talk about cosine of theta. Actually, I made a mistake already. Keep wanting to do theta, but I don't mean theta. I want to do cosine from the other acute angle, which we called 90 minus theta. Okay, so if I'm standing in this corner here and I want the cosine, adjacent would be b over hypotenuse is c. Look at their ratios. They make the same, b over c. So those are called cofunctions. And what's kind of cool is the wording of them. We have sine and we have cosine. That co means they're complementary. They make 90. That'll also work for like tangent and cotangent. So tangent of this angle would be opposite over adjacent, or b over a. And then from this angle, the 90 minus theta angle would be now cotangent is adjacent over opposite, so b over a. So tangent and cotangent are also cofunctions. And then you've guessed it, it will go work like that with secant and cosecant, because secant from this angle would be hypotenuse over adjacent. Remember, it's opposite or reciprocal of cosine. So hypotenuse is c over adjacent a. And then cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So that's going to be hypotenuse. So we're from this angle. Man, I did it again. Keep wanting to do theta because that's what we've always, right? Sorry. From this angle, it'd be the hypotenuse, which is still c, over the opposite, which would be a. So see how these ratios match. So cofunctions actually stands for they make complementary angles. Okay, so I've labeled them where they're across each other. So sine and cosine, secant and cosecant, tangent and cotangent. And now this should make sense. This 90 minus theta is just really the way we label this other acute angle. Okay, so with all that being said, I just picked 3 of them out. Hopefully this is an easy lesson for you. It says the reciprocal of secant. So if I want the reciprocal, I want what's the flipped version of it. So the reciprocal of secant is that cosine. That's what we've been using. And then number 2 is the cofunction of cosine. So the way I get used to it is, okay, cosine has the word sine in it. So the cofunction of cosine is sine. And then if I see this 90 minus theta is talking about a cofunction. They just don't say that word. So cosecant of 90 minus theta is actually secant, because cosecant and secant are cofunctions. So hopefully that makes sense.